Jay has spent more than 3 decades leading and advising businesses across industries, helping teams navigate complexity, uncover root issues, and build lasting momentum. Let's meet Jay. Jay, you've seen a wide range of industries. When you think about businesses that truly thrive, what do they have in common?
Well, number one, they all have an energetic and capable leader, and they also have buy in from their key officers and directors. But they also have a good business model. So it makes it a lot easier when to lead when you have a successful business model. So sometimes that is a factor, but it really just gets down to what you might call blocking and tackling.
Right, the fundamentals.
Absolutely, the fundamentals, and then there can always be exciting days, but if you don't block and tackle, there aren't going to be any of those.
Now, fundamentals very rarely change. You're saying the business model. Is there time and room to tweak with that, or does that morph or change, or does that pretty much stay consistent?
Well, it's going back a little bit to Rob mentioned in turn, what is the purpose the business is, and what is the simple language that you use to describe what you do and why you do it. And if it's a product or a service, it's revisiting that all the time just to make sure that you haven't gone cold and aren't listening to your client base or your customers. And it also depends on the size.
Okay.
Because there are certain things you can do based on size and certain things you can't do.
And that's where an advisory board would come in to help you figure out if you're too small.
So, like if you're a large company, usually the advisors are board members and they have a vote. And I like that thought too, because when they vote, they know that they're responsible for the outcome, whether it's private or public. I think that if you are a board member as opposed to an advisory director, you're going to have more of a vested interest in the outcome, I think, as opposed to what some people might view as just giving advice. I think that I certainly feel like when the board I'm on now, I'm an advisory director, but having been involved in running the business, I have a little bit of a vested interest that they continue to do well.
Gotcha. Okay. On the topic of advice and with your roles on advisory boards, you've said this, and I've heard it, and I love it. You've said every business problem has a solution. It just takes perspective. How do you help leaders shift when they feel stuck?
Well, I think it's just refocusing, frankly. Most of us get stuck just because we're doing the same thing every day. So maybe it's as simple as making a small adjustment in how you approach the problem. Sometimes it's just talking to somebody else as to how they see it. But it's not visiting the dentist, but it's talking to your team members about the problems that you're having or any kind of thing that they're bringing to you. And I do believe that every problem has a solution. You may not like that resolution. The right answer may not be what you were expecting, but nevertheless, you've got to get to that point where you can make that decision.
I think that's a good nugget you dropped on there, that everything does have a solution. You just might not like it, and it may not be your first instinct going on what you think. Going with some rhythm of business, if a business owner feels reactive instead of proactive, do you have one small shift they can make this quarter to help them regain control?
I think, again, it just gets back to make sure you're understanding what the issue is from whoever brought it to you, and that you're listening, not just trying to decide something based on your own experience. So I think that's all I would add.
And I think that was a big word there, listening. I think that's a big component, and I'm glad you touched on it.
I found myself not doing that too many times.
Well, that's why they say that they gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I think a lot of people in managerial positions get used to delegating or giving out orders as opposed to listening to their people. Understanding does come when you listen. So That's good. Speaking about leadership and culture, you often say business success is about people. For leaders trying to re-engage their teams, what's the first lever you pull? I know we've talked about the meetings and talking and listening. Is there a certain lever you pull to get them re-engaged? Your kind of go-to method?
I don't have a go to method. I try to evaluate each and every situation with the people that are involved separately and then make a judgment of my own based on what I'm hearing to sort of customize the solution.
Thank you. That's fantastic insight, great insight. What stands out the most to me is listening and evaluating, and what you just said, making your own judgment call after that, getting the input from everybody and advisors, and really giving it some meaningful thought. Thanks again for joining us and the impact you bring to our clients every day.